Black Talk. I'm your host, BJR Stewart. And as you can see, I'm still preparing for this winter storm that's coming. I've been having my cold weather gear on for the last couple of days, rather than a suit and a jacket. Preparing for the worst, and I hear it's coming, so I haven't quite got here yet. We got a little rain today here in my part of Texas. I suspect by tomorrow morning that it's going to be extremely cold, supposedly in the 20s. That's cold for us. It may not be anything for International Falls, Minnesota, but here in Texas, anything below 30 is, anything below 40 really is cold for us. Anyway, we should have an interesting show for you tonight. If you look, I have the lineup for next week, Monday through Friday. 10 p.m. Central Time is when the show, we do the show live. We also release a video every day, Sunday through Sunday, 7 days a week. There's a new video that we produce that comes out. So if you don't mind, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and then spread the word, share it with others. Put it on your Facebook if you don't mind, your LinkedIn, your X, Twitch. Any platform that you're on, if you want to share the link to this video, feel free. Or if you want to edit and add it into your show, feel free. I don't know. I think I've opened up all the permissions, for others to use my video and share it however they want, good or bad. You don't have to necessarily agree with me. Well, sure, I don't necessarily agree with everything you say, but you don't have to. If you find something that you don't agree with, you can slice and dice that part of the video out, put it into your video, and add some comments to it about what you didn't like about whatever I said. So tonight, I'm doing another review of Stephen A. Smith. I'm deciding I'm going to do that about once a week. And part of the reason is, Stephen A. Smith is a ESPN commentator, sports commentator on First Take, I think is the name of his show. And he's good. Probably one of the best in the business in sports. One of the best at what he does in sports. I know he got a huge contract, so I'm very proud of the young man. And it's good to see successful people doing what they do best. But lately, I think he's on XM Radio maybe. There's a show there. And I know he does a YouTube podcast a couple of days a week, where he started to step into current events and politics, offer his opinion. And since he's entered into that, now if it was just sports, now normally, during football season, I'm a football fan, a Cowboys fan. And you know how Stephen A. trolls the Cowboy fans, he's always getting under our skin. I do watch and listen to his comments during football season, even though I don't like most of the things he says about the Cowboys. That's just on football. That's just on sports. It's nothing personal. I'm saying this because I don't know him personally. He doesn't know me personally. I'm doing a review of his show because he's popular. I'm trying to become popular. And certainly I'm not trying to compare myself to him. I mean, he's a hunchback, sperm whale, king of the ocean. And I'm the food that... What do the whales eat? Plankton. They open their mouth and just swallow tons of plankton. Little small microscopic fish. I'm the food that the plankton eats. That's how small I am compared to him. So there's no comparison. He's forgotten more about journalism than I'll ever know. So I'm not saying that he and I are on the same level, or I'm trying to get to his level, because that's not going to happen. I do what I do because I just want to voice my opinion. I want to say the things that I think others cannot say or won't say, or if they do say it, they say it in a way where they try to sugarcoat it and make it palatable, so they don't get the cancer culture people after them, or they don't get in trouble with the community guidelines or YouTube or whatever their motivation is. So I don't govern myself that way. I don't restrict what I have to say. If I have something to say, I'm just going to say it. You're going to know exactly how I feel about something, what's on the top of my dome. I'm just going to be a straight shooter with you. So let's talk a little bit about Stephen A. Smith. He finds himself to be the topic of discussion this week. Oh, and if you look, down below here, I have the schedule for next week of the things we're going to talk about. So Monday we'll be talking about Dunbar High School when it first opened up. The Dunbar High Schools are some of the best in the country, but specifically, I want to talk about the D.C. Dunbar High School, 1920, when it opened. First high schools for black. These were the grandkids of slaves, free slaves, who went there. And when you read through their history, you look at their graduate list back when they first opened up, those early days. It reads like the who's who of black history. Man, they had some heavy hitters come to that school that went on to do great things. The average student graduating from Dunbar who went off to college received 2 years of college credit. You know, I know we have the programs now where you can earn college credits while you're in high school. It was a very popular program. I believe in it. I have a good friend who was the author and architect of it, who brought it to Texas. It's a good program. But we had that at Dunbar in the 1920s, even before it formed their program. That's just how great, not the quality of the education these kids received. That colleges up and down the East Coast, prestigious schools, recognize these students. They're not just been high school graduates coming into college for, you know, that you're already ahead of most of our freshmen and sophomores. So they walked into school as juniors, graduating in 2 or 3 years, going off to do all the great things. On Tuesday, we have the Dred Scott ruling. Once again, this is just want to point out that the Skank Democrat Party, composed of the white liberal, socialist, progressive, communist, Marxist, Democrat, is always on the wrong side of every court ruling in America. Always on the wrong side. So we're going to talk about one of the rulings, the Dred Scott ruling. We'll talk about others in the future. And then on Wednesday, we're going to get into some health stuff on how to reverse diabetes. Now, I know what you're saying. One, I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. Well, it's lifestyle advice. But I know, based on my doctor, because I had diabetes, the doctor would tell you that once you get diabetes, once you're diabetic, you can't reverse it. That you're always diabetic. And maybe that's once you're an alcoholic, you're always an alcoholic. Once you're a drug addict, you're always a drug addict. Okay, well, I don't know if that's the case with diabetes, but I do know that if you have an A1C that ranks you or rates you to be diabetic or pre-diabetic, you can reverse that number, get it under 5.6 to a normal range, healthy range. And then I think the American Medical Association, American Diabetes Association, and some others are actually reviving the range. You know, generally 5.6 and below is considered normal, healthy. 5.7 and 6.5 is considered pre-diabetes. And then anything over 6.5 is considered diabetic. They're going to revise those numbers because healthy people who have A1Cs in the sixes, you know, 6.4, 6.5, they're now starting to find out that they're suffering from hypoglycemia. That basically they don't have enough sugar to run their bodies. They're fainting, they're passing out, they're hitting their heads. So maybe the A1C range that we thought, especially as you get older, and it's not for young people. I would imagine anything under 40, the range is probably still what it is. But I think they're going to revise the numbers for people over 40. And I'm 61, so I'm curious to see what the new numbers are because I've been fighting. Just a year ago, my A1C was double digits, 14, 13.7, almost 14. So it's been a long, hard struggle to, the last A1C test was 6.5. And I have another A1C test coming up in February, which I hope to definitely not be under 6 by then, but I hope to be in the normal range by then. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know. I'll give you an update. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about Pan-Africanism. It's one African nonsense. I don't mean to call it nonsensical, but that's exactly what it is. You're trying to have a discussion, try to bring Africa together, one African. when you have so many of them. You have thousands of tribes in Africa. All the tribes have different cultures, different customs, different languages. Within a country. I told you Nigeria has several hundred tribes speaking different languages. They're all fighting for power. They just pass power from one dictator to the next. It's all tribal. Men marry women, not in the traditional sense, not in the Western sense. No, they go talk to the family. They negotiate. They pay a dowry to the family or to the tribe or both. They get permission to marry the woman. All she is a baby factory for them. Cook, clean. She's really a slave. And this is their custom and culture. Just to to have these babies, and as long as I pay some bills, put some food, and you have the nerve, the audacity to try to take the high road because you belong to a tribe and you have some history and culture that's ass backwards. You're poor as hell. Anyway, we're going to talk about Pan-Africanism on Thursday. And then we'll finish next week with another review of our favorite sports announcer and political commentator, Stephen A. Smith. Now, we're certainly not going to review any of his comments on sports, but I think his comments on politics is fair game. So let's catch up on a little bit of what's going on this week, and then we'll get into Stephen A. Smith. Let me reposition myself in this chair, even though I have a cushion. Sometimes I get tired of sitting. So the Orange Man went to Switzerland. I think he was able to bully the NATO and Denmark into making agreeing on some kind of framework for Greenland. Now, I do know that Stephen A. Smith had some words to say about the Orange Man saying Iceland when he really meant Greenland. And I don't know if they had some kind of briefing on Iceland. Maybe they were thinking if things don't work out here in Greenland, maybe we'll go after Iceland. Who knows? Who knows what kind of conversation? People mix up stuff all the time. But so what? I still rather have a mixed up Orange Man, Donald J. Trump, as president, than Joe Biden, Obama, Clinton, any day of the week. You can merge all three together to still be worth a quarter, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, whatever they agreed to, I think they probably went back to the 1951 agreement when the U.S. has with Denmark. It sounds like they've agreed to let America open up some bases, put the Iron Dome in for missile and nuke protection. Well, we could have already done that. We already had an agreement for that. We had 17 bases there at one time. Now we only have one. And so the Prime Minister of Denmark had already stated that if you want to just open up some bases, you want to reopen the bases you had, open up new bases, go for it. It was a big island, huge island. Plenty of land there. Go for it. Just go put some stakes up and start building. As far as we're concerned, that's great because you're just adding our local economy. And then they came to some kind of agreement on pull my hoodie back some kind of agreement on the rare earth minerals. And I think that was really what Trump was after, making sure that America had access to the earth minerals that we need to grow our economy. Just thinking ahead, because right now the Chinese have cornered 90% of the market, 90% of the market, and we're going to have to start in order to catch up, because China can be vindictive. They can decide, like at one point they did. We were threatening to raise tariffs on them. They decided that they couldn't spare any more minerals. They would just cut us off. But eventually we came to some kind of agreement where they were going to increase their purchases of our goods to lower the trade deficit. We would not impose or lower the tariffs that we were going to place on them or had placed on them, and they would resume selling us the minerals. But I'm pretty sure the Orange Man looked at that experience and said, hey, they're not going to hold that over my head again, so we got to fix that, which is what he's been working to do. So So I'm sorry that Denmark actually got caught up in this, but this is what it's coming to on the world stage. The world is getting smaller, population is getting larger, and resources. It's not just oil now. It's, we need battery operated cars, and we're going to need more electricity than ever before. We're going to need more precious metals than ever before, and that's where the fight's going to come down to. And who's sitting on a ton of rare earth minerals? Those Africans. What are they doing to get it out of the ground and make themselves rich? Nothing. Nothing. All of the mining companies over in Africa, put there by white people, Europeans, Americans. The oil wells that are there, put there by Americans, Europeans. Asia now is starting to move in. The Russians and Chinese are starting to move in and help with infrastructure and mining because they want to extract out the minerals out of the land also. And for all this independence and Pan-Africanism that the Africans talk about, somehow they don't have the good sense to use the money that they've stolen to develop a mining company. Oh, they don't mind you coming in and putting your money and investing it, and maybe one day kick you out and just take it over. But even when they do that, they don't take care of it. And look at what's happening in South Africa. The government of South Africa, when Mandela was handed a pretty developed country. They had farmland. They were able to feed themselves. They were able to sell a surplus to Tanzania, to other border countries that border them. Now they can't keep the lights on. They can't keep the water pumping. And they can't grow enough food to feed themselves. Anyway, I don't want to get too far on Africa. That'll be next week. I did have this lineup here is for the 10 p.m. talk show. I told you every day we release a new video on some topic. And so if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button. And please spread the word. Take the link of this video, share it, whatever you want. Good, bad, or indifferent. There's no bad press. There's only no press. So let's get into the comments from Stephen A. Smith, tonight's topic. So I'm watching Stephen A. Smith. I do occasionally. I don't subscribe to his channel. Or do I? Kind of thing. Maybe I do. If I don't, I will. So I'm not saying I don't subscribe in order to say I don't like the show or I'm trying to discourage anyone from subscribing or watching the show. That's not the case. If I'm not a subscriber to his show, I will subscribe probably this weekend. I'll go check. And so one of the shows that I watch, but I do a search on his name and see what new videos to put out, and I'll watch it. On this particular one, he's talking about some political matters. He's really talking about the Democrats having the Republicans, the Orange Man, on the ropes. Midterms are coming up in November. And generally the party that's in power, that occupies the White House, normally lose seats in the Congress at midterms, first midterms. Especially if the party in the White House controls Congress, which Republicans do. So based on traditional trends, generally the political party that's in power, come the first midterms, loses power. They lose seats in power, at least in the Congress. The gavel changes, the speaker changes from the party that's in power, that occupies the White House, to the minority party. So in this case, everyone's anticipating that Democrats will become the majority and Republicans will become the minority party come November. We'll see. We don't think that's going to happen. So this is what Stephen A. was talking about. He's saying that the Democrats had the Republicans on the ropes. And his explanation for why he thought the Democrats had Republicans on the ropes is because of ICE. He said that all the protests and chaos, he used that word, chaos, around the country over ICE, it's going to cost the Republicans. They're going to have to pay for it. Well, the Orange Man is he's not on the ballot. He can't run again. So you're not going to punish the Orange Man. You're going to punish the Republicans in Congress. And he mentioned L.A., Portland, Oregon, what's happening in Minnesota, Minneapolis, and St. Paul, and New York. As if those 4 cities were a microcosm for America. What happens in those 4 cities, or 5 cities, I consider St. Paul and Minneapolis, they say the twin cities, they're right next to each other, I believe. So I consider them to be one. But he's listing these 4 cities as if they're a microcosm for America. That they set the stage for America. They don't. Republicans are not going to win in LA. Republicans are not going to win in Portland, Oregon. They're not going to win in Chicago. They're going to win in New York. They're not going to win in Minneapolis, St. Paul. And they can certainly hold their own in areas outside of these cities, in these states, these blue states. But they're not going to win those cities. Republicans are not losing anything because you don't get to vote in Minneapolis. You don't lose anything because you don't get to vote in L.A. Whatever congressional district covers Portland, Oregon, that seat's already in the hands of a Democrat. So it stays in the hands of a Democrat. So what? Now, if he had mentioned Miami, St. Pete, Florida, Tallahassee, Austin, Texas, I'm not going to name some liberal cities in red states: Austin, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio, El Paso. St. Pete? Well, Miami's becoming less. There are a lot of Cubans there. But there's some strongholds in Florida that where the Democrats and the liberals do fairly well. If you had mentioned some liberal cities in red states, okay, I can understand your point. But to mention red cities in red states and try to point them off as this is your bellwether indicator of how well Republicans are going to do, that does that make any sense whatsoever? Is it just me, maybe? Come on, Stephen. You're a smart guy, very intelligent. You remind me of Bill O'Reilly. Smart, good analytical skills for the most part. Very, very good dresser. Your diction, your grammar, your use of the language, command of the language are very good. I would say that I'm impressed, but I'm not impressed because you're a black man. I'm impressed, period, because you're a man who on top of your game. Hell, I wish to be like you when I grow up. But trust me, those 4 cities, those areas, do not set the stage for the rest of America. Democrats are in trouble. And this is how I know they're in trouble, because they're losing people like you. They haven't lost you yet. I mean, I know you say you're a registered independent. Sean Hannity says he's a registered conservative. The hell that means. Bill O'Reilly says he's a registered independent. And I'm going to tell you, because I love Bill O'Reilly, I love Sean Hannity, I love their shows. I don't know him personally. I mean, we're not good friends or buddies or anything. And I love to hear what you have to say also. I love your sports analysis. except when you were ragging on the Cowboys, and I hate you. Love-hate kind of relationship. You understand. I don't hate you personally. I just hate that you may be telling the truth about my Cowboys, and the truth hurts sometimes. Um, and you, with this resident independent nonsense, all three of y'all are full of it. Because when you go into that booth to punch a stylus, pull a lever, punch a button on a tablet to vote, there is no doubt in my mind. I bet everything I have every time there's an election that Bill O'Reilly is going to vote for a Republican. Sean Hannity is going to vote for a Republican. And you, Stephen A. Smith, you're going to vote for a Democrat. And I'd be right 95% of the time if not 99% of the time. There may be an exception here or there for a friend, somebody you know, who's with the other party. You decide to give a vote to out of support, out of loyalty for your friendship or a family member. But for the most part, I'm not going to lose my money on that 1%. Oh, trust me, I'm not. If I track enough elections, enough votes of yours, I take whatever odds Vegas folks want to give me. They say, oh, Jerry, it's 10 to 1. You got to put up $10 for every $1 in order to win $1. Okay, I'll take it. I will take it. Because for every one time I lose, that's $10. I'm going to win 99 other times. So anyway, all this registered independent, registered conservative is just nonsense. I know how you guys vote. And everybody else knows how you vote. And so you got to ask yourself, me, JR, this is what I do. I talk to myself quite frequently. And I like to give myself thought experiments where I pose these things and I analyze them. Try to look at it from both sides the best I can. Why would someone try to purposely mislead the public on how they vote? Why is Bill O'Reilly, very successful man? The Spin Factor was my favorite show on cable TV, on TV period, when he was on Fox. He said he's a registered independent. What the hell does that mean, Bill? We know how you vote. You're not voting for any Democrats or the Green Party or the Labor Party, the Communist Party, Sierra Club. You're not voting for the Libertarians. If you vote, I'm fairly certain you're voting for Republicans. You're not voting for Bill Clinton. You're not voting for Hillary. You're not voting for Barack Obama. You certainly didn't vote for Jimmy Carter. Sean Hannity is the same way. Why would you guys do that? Well, here's why. Because they're ashamed to be identified with the Republican Party. They know firsthand how spineless Republicans are. The Republican Party is a bunch of jellyfish, banana backs. They have no spine. Democrats kick their butts all the time. And even when Republicans are entrusted with leadership, the Democrats still kick their butts. Nancy Pelosi can go up to whichever Republican was Speaker a couple of times that she was a minority when she lost the gavel. And she could tell them, hey, look, if you think you're going to seat all your Republicans and make them chairs of all the committees, that's not going to happen. You're going to have to split them. Wait a minute, lady. Wait, whoa. I'm the Speaker of the House. I get to decide on committee chairs. When you were Speaker of the House, you got to decide. You're going to tell me what I'm going to do or not going to do? Yes, that's exactly what Nancy would do. And all too often, they would cave. They wouldn't split it 50-50. But there'd be some committees and subcommittees. I think Mouth of the South, Representative Crockett. She's chairing some subcommittee on civil rights or something. As much as Republicans complain about her and her nonsense, her foolishness, this is what I'm talking about. This wouldn't happen if Jeffries was Speaker of the House. There wouldn't be one committee, one subcommittee chaired by a Republican. But the do as I say, not do as I do rule kicks in when Democrats are in charge. I say this because, one, I know how these, this is why a lot of people are ashamed to be Republicans. Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, I understand. You don't be associated with his weakness. And there are many black folks who resisted turning to the Republican Party for the same reason, just weak. Sorry. Constantly letting Democrats push you around. On the beach, Democrats are the ones walking around kicking sand in your face. Anytime that we trust you with power, what do? Oh, you do the right thing. You turn the other cheek. Oh, your Christian values kick in. Democrats will tell you that we expect you to do the right thing. I heard one commentator on MSNBC when this was Donald Trump's first term. He was calling them fake news. And boy, I mean, that was a scandal. He's pushing back, calling them fake news, not taking their question. And one of the MSNBC commentators said, this president, Donald Trump is not George Bush. We call George Bush stupid every day. He never referred to us as fake news. He never tried to undermine our authority with the public, turning people against us. They call George Bush stupid every day. Self-admission. Every day. And yet he never pushed back. No matter how much they criticize him, right or wrong, he was expected to do the right thing. Take the high road. Turn the other cheek. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Bull. That's BS. When has the Democrat Party ever went high? When is that white liberal, socialist, progressive, communist, Marxist, Democrat, and their stupid-ass minions ever going high? All they do is fight, protest, riot, insult. They've never gone high. I'm not saying that Michelle's on crack that day, but she may have taken something very powerful that day when she made that statement. But this is why Bill, Sean, and others don't want to be associated with the Republican Party. Notice how many people came out the closet when Trump ran. Those folks don't consider themselves Republicans, they consider themselves MAGA. Even now, popular as he is, popular as the MAGA movement is, a lot of the folks with the red hats, Make America Great Again, they don't consider themselves Republicans. They still don't associate with the Republican Party. And Stephen A. Smith doesn't associate with the Democrat Party for the same reason. Not because they're weak. Oh, no. Oh, no. No, Stephen A., I'm pretty sure he's done his research. He's studied history a little bit. He knows that the Democrat Party is the party of slavery, the party of the Confederate, the party of Jim Crow, the party of the KKK. He knows that the Democrat Party has been on the wrong side of every Supreme Court ruling in America that benefited black people. He knows this. But he says that he struggles to be a Democrat. He struggles to support that party. He claims to be an independent, but he struggles with the Democrat. I understand your struggle. Because all your friends and family members, for the most part, are probably Democrats. I've been a conservative Republican since the age of 16. I made my mind then. I spent my time, I did my research. And the more I learned about that skank party, the more I knew I couldn't be a Democrat. You don't think my parents tried to talk me out of being a Republican? This is arch Democrats, uncles, aunts, cousins, every grown person in my life. I lost friends over being a Republican. My wife and I would host tailgate parties at our house for the neighborhood. People would come over, we'd cook, everybody bring something, play a potluck, we watch the game. You know, we had a pretty nice sized TV upstairs where the guys would go, the women would be downstairs. Then we moved the party to one of our friends' house across the street, Chris and Allie, because they had young kids. And the young kids didn't have anything to do at our house for us, you know, being able to play, be entertained. So we moved the tailgate to their house. So that way they could watch their kids and their kids can run around and do their thing. So I didn't care which house it was in. But we have a couple of neighbors. Same-sex marriage. 2 women. It didn't matter to me. I still believe in traditional man and woman, but to each his own. I don't care. And one of the wives made a statement about Trump. You see, you know, what did she say? Something to the effect of, we can't believe that Trump said that or did that. Oh, no, this is what she said. She said, we all know that Trump is against brown and black people. That was her statement. And so I had to correct her. Said, no, we don't know that. You may know that, but we don't know that. And she looked puzzled. Wait a minute, you're black. But then she said, surely you're not one of them. I said, one of what? She said, one of those black conservatives, Republicans. She didn't say conservatives, she said black Republicans. And I said, yes, I am. Yeah, I was president of one of the black Republican clubs here in Collin County. I was a precinct chair for the Republican Party. I've never, ever in my life voted for a Democrat. Never. And we live in the most conservative county in America. Other Republicans in Texas call us the Collin County crazies, because that's how much to the right, farther to the right than we are than the average Texan. And Texas is a red state. And if Texas is red, we're ultra red. We're so red, we're purple. We're not purple, but we're so red that we're crimson. We're whatever the reddest color you can get, that's us. We stopped getting. They stopped coming to the tailgate if we were there. They didn't talk to us anymore. Didn't get any more invites. You know, every now and then they would invite us to the house. They had a pool, and certainly in the summertime. You know, if invite us over, wanted to come and cool off, sit in the pool. They had a nice backyard. None of that. You can't be friends with you guys over politics. Now, up until that point, until she knew that I was Republican, we were cool. And it's not just her. Family members are the same way. You know, we all have that uncle or that one cousin that's a little too touchy-feely with the kids. You know the one, Chester, Uncle Chester, or Uncle Lester, or Cousin Chester. You don't want them to babysit your kids. You wouldn't dare leave at home with your kids alone. that relative would get invited to the fish fry before me. Over politics. Over politics. Democrats it's a cult with them. So I understand Stephen A. Smith. He didn't want to identify being a Democrat, although that's what he is, that's what he votes. I understand. Claiming that you're a registered Republican is you're out. You don't have to worry about your friends and family members coming down on you. Because there's a lot of pressure. I know firsthand. I'm going through it since the age of 16. But I don't hide my politics, my ideology. If you ask me, I'll tell you. I'm not ashamed to be a Republican, conservative, member of the Tea Party, MAGA. Big fan of Ronald Reagan, Rush Limbaugh. Yes, that's me. Now, big fan of Donald Trump. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't have to hide. I don't twist and turn and I'm an independent. No, I'm a far right-wing conservative, Republican. Always have been, always will be. Not ashamed of any of it. Not ashamed of anything my party has done. I'm not always happy with them. I'm not ashamed of what they've done. I look at their history compared to the state Democrat Party. And the worst thing Republicans probably did was during the 1936 election, when Hoover declared that the Republican Party was the party for white men. Because this was his desperate attempt to try to win the South. Even though behind closed doors, he was telling black leaders that, look, nothing's changed. The Republican Party still stands behind you. We're still with you. But that was the year, that was the election that we went from majority voting for the Republican Party to the majority voting of blacks voting for the Democrat Party. Very stupid on his part to do that. We were solid Republicans up until that point. And then, we still find out that we chose not to understand just how skanky the Democrat Party, how much damage they did to the black community. It's not hard to figure out. It's in the history books. It's written down. Like Chris Rock said, if you want to hide something from black people, put it in the book. White folks haven't hid the history of the Democrat Party. You don't believe me? Ask Google. Ask Siri. ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Grok. Use your computer internet connection for something other than porn, gossip. Ask some pertinent questions about each party before you vote. What's your interest? So that is the reason. So on the Republican side, you have conservative celebrities, talk show hosts who claim they're independent, even though they vote Republican. They're full of it. We have Democrats who vote Democrat, who claim they're independent. They're full of it. But I understand why both sides do it. Not quite the same. The motivation is not exactly the same, but I understand. And I've just explained it to you why they do it. And for Stephen A. Smith, it's a lot of pressure. He's hinted, tapped on, and every time he does this, even though he tiptoe around the edge, as if he's threatening to become a Republican, to vote for Trump or support him. He has to walk it back. I imagine that friends and family, getting so many blows from friends and family and people close to him, he generally has to walk it back. He has to make it right. And then here lately, he's been on this, I'm trying to help the Democrat Party. He says what he wants is divided government. He says it's not good for one party to be in control of government. And his statement is halfway true. It's not good for the Democrat Party to be in control of the government. If that's the party that's in control. It's okay if Republicans are in control of government because even when they're in control of government, the Democrats still get most of what they want. A lot of what they want. It's gotten a little more difficult since the Orange Man's been in office. Because now Republicans can hide behind Donald Trump. He provides cover for them. He puts his foot down when it comes to the Democrats. He calls them out. He calls out the media. He doesn't care. This is why Donald Trump is so dangerous to him. We had those Republicans in control before you came along. Even when they won elections, we could still bully them into doing what we want. Republicans had control of Congress when Obama was in office. And when the Democrats and Obama wanted a tax increase, every Republican ran and said they would not raise taxes. But they all caved. Obama got his tax increase. He did I don't look like the other, 40-some presidents up on the wall. And I'm a little different. Just playing the race card. So what you do different? You have bigger ears than they do. So what? You're not that different because you're not black. You're mixed. You're majority white. You're some black. Your mother was all white. Your daddy was mostly African, mostly black, and some white. Genetically, you were more white than black. So you were closer to those guys up on the wall than you want people to know. And what do they do when they're in office? They rig the system because they think long term. This is where Republicans are nowhere near on the level of Democrats. Democrats play the long game, always. Republicans are playing a small ball all the time, trying to catch up, just reacting to whatever Democrats do. Opening that border, flooding the country with 12 to 20 million illegals was on purpose. It wasn't an accident. Long ball. Okay, Republicans come, Donald Trump shuts it down. They did their best to try to guarantee 5,000 illegal crossings a day before they had to do anything. You had to go 7 straight days, averaging over 5,000 border crossings, illegal crossings a day, for 7 days straight. And then the president had the option, not that he was guaranteed, he had to, required to, had the option to shut the border down. And they almost got Republicans to go along with that nonsense. Orange Man shut it down. He just came into office and just shut the border down. Told Border Patrol, do your job. Shut the border down. Close it down. Told ICE, do your job. Start rounding people up and deporting them if they're here illegally. And here's what Democrats were counting on. He's like, well, GR, those people can't vote. Sure they can't vote. Not now. It's an investment for the future. Because they already know that the average illegal is going to have 2 or 3 kids. Easily. In 18 years, those kids are going to be eligible to vote. Who are they going to vote for? The party that tried to deport their parents? Kick them out of the country? Ship them back to some shithole country that that they escaped from? Or the party that let them in, gave them benefits, didn't enforce the law? Easy choice. And if you get 20 million of them into the country, you don't kick them out and deport them, and somehow even if you don't give them a voter registration card, 2 to 3 children each, you're talking about 40 to 60 million new voters. Man, Democrats would never ever lose another national election. If Republicans, if Donald Trump doesn't do something about that now. This is why he's pushing so hard. He has to do this. There's not Republicans doing this. He has to push ICE to step up enforcement. And I know in the first year they say they've deported 2 million people. That's a good down payment. That's a good start. But if Donald Trump wasn't president, somebody else was president, even if they were Republicans, this probably wouldn't happen. What's happening in LA, Portland, Oregon, the Twin Cities, New York, would be enough to scare Republicans. Because as soon as someone like MSNBC, CNN, or even a Stephen A. Smith said this is a microcosm for America. You see, they're protesting ICE and what you're doing. You got to change your policy. Yeah, any other Republican would have backed off of that. They would have called the Department of Homeland Security secretary in and said, okay, well, call the dogs off. This causes too many problems. It's causing too much heat. We got midterms coming up. This is why Donald Trump is dangerous. No other Republican would have built a wall. No other Republican would push back against the press, calling fake news. Barack Hussein Obama put in a basketball court in the White House. Cost over $100 million for a damn basketball court. Taxpayer money. Donald Trump puts in a ballroom, planning to spend $400 million in construction, all private money that he raised. Didn't ask the taxpayer for a dime. You can go to Treasury and say, hey, write me a check. I want to redo the ballroom. All spent with private money. What does the left do? They're acting a fool. Trump, the ranking syndrome is real. And the only cure for it is just common sense. He's lowered gas prices like he said he was going to do. Inflation has come way down. Since to 9, 10, 11% under Biden. I think we're around 3% now. It won't be long before we're at 2%. It's 2%. Anything up below 2% is detrimental. You got to have at least 2 to 3% inflation every year to keep the economy going smoothly. You don't want prices to drop too much. Investments. A lot of this data centers being built, brought into the country. New power centers are being built because those AI servers require lots of power. Lots of power. One of those data centers can easily consume as much power as a small city of 2 or 3 million people. The city I live in, McKinney. One of those mega AI data centers can use as much power, just one of them, as much power as the entire city of McKinney. In order to deal with that, now when you build a AI data center, you have to build the power generation plant next to it to supply your own power. Because the government don't want you to tax the grid. Any surplus power you have, you put it to the grid and sell it to the utilities. When he says he want to make America first, he thinks of putting America first in everything he does. Whether he's going after precious rare earth minerals, trying to get them from Denmark, from Greenland. The folks in Greenland and in the country of Denmark are just like the Africans. You have trillions and trillions of dollars of wealth under the ground, and you won't dig it up. So if you're not going to dig it up and do something with it, you may as well give it to us and let us do it, because we need it. So yeah, part of it is military security. But the other part is economic security. Man. So anyway, I'm just looking down here at the clock here, and we're coming up on the end of the show. Ooh. People, y'all wish me luck. I'm wishing y'all luck. The cold hasn't quite got here yet. The temperature is dropping. The wife went out to turn our vehicles around, protect our cars. I think she did something. She sprayed something in the window. She put the windshield wipers up so they don't freeze and get stuck. Position the cars to the point outward in case we have an emergency. We have to drive out. rather than trying to back out, we just pull directly out. Hopefully, we are prepared ourselves and we're hunkered down. We have food, we have supplies, we have water, we have firewood for the fireplace, batteries for the flashlights, candles. We're prepared for the worst. Because generally when we have a really bad storm like this, we lose power. Last time, a couple of years ago, we lost power for a week. And so we kind of roughed it out. Everybody was telling us to go to a hotel and check in. We had a couple of invites. The mayor actually invited us to come over to their house. He had extra bedroom. We had some other people, friends who had, we got extra bedrooms. Y'all come over. You bring the dogs. No, we're okay. We're survivalists. I'm a Marine, tough. My wife is pretty tough, we're okay. Our home is all electric. We have a very large home, almost 4,000 square feet. The downstairs one of the things I love about this house, very tall, vaulted ceilings, 25 feet up. The room I'm in now, I just look straight up, 25 feet up. And changing light bulbs, batteries in the smoke detector, it's embarrassing to say that we have to call the fire department out to change light bulbs, to change the batteries in our smoke detector. They had to bring special ladders out and reach up that tall. Vaulted ceilings look great. This open footprint looks great. But in the winter and summertime extremes, it's hard to keep cool and it's hard to keep warm. So in the wintertime, we have 2 heat pumps for our house. So we don't have a gas furnace. No natural gas. I wish we did. And heat pumps work extremely well, except in extreme cold. So you won't freeze to death. You don't have to worry about hypothermia, but they don't get your home as warm and crispy as a good old natural gas would. And then in the summertime, we used to have a hard time cooling the house. So in the summertime, the hot air would rise, so the upstairs would always be hot. We just couldn't keep it cool. Downstairs would be great. Cool air, sinks to the bottom. Then it's reversed in the wintertime. The warm air goes upstairs, it's nice and warm up there, but downstairs it's nice and cold. But in the summertime, we don't have that problem now in the summertime because we have these green vines that grew all over the house. We used to rip it down and tear them down. And one summer we didn't. After spring, we just left it. Just in front of it, we didn't bother with it. And that summer was the best. It was a hot summer. But the house stayed cool. All those green vines covered the house, protected the house from getting hot. I'm like, oh my God, we even turned the air conditioner on that summer. We hadn't turned it on since, really. This house naturally stays cool in the summertime, just for those green vines. So I wish we had something in the wintertime to help us stay warm besides the fireplace. But hey, can't get everything. So we love our home, even though we're looking at downsides this year to get into something. Because it's just my wife and I. We don't need a house this big. So guys, that's my time. My hour is almost up. I want to thank you for watching my show, allowing me to share with you, tell my stories, to vent with you a little bit. If I offended anyone, hey, please leave me a comment. We can talk about it. And I haven't blocked anybody so far, but if you like what I'm saying, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share my videos with others. I'm trying to grow the channel. My personal page, Lee Gerard Stewart, I have thousands of subscribers, lots of followers. But I started a new channel, Black Talk. One, because my other channel has tons of other videos from everything, personal comment, family reunions. You name it, I put it out there. And because I didn't think anybody was really going to be all that interested in it, and you'd be surprised. But this channel is really just for my personal views, political views, and my comments and reviews on everything under the sun that I find interesting. So hopefully you find these topics interesting also and decide you want to come spend an hour with me every day from Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Central Time. If you don't catch the show live, you can go to my channel, Black Talk, and catch all of the daily videos there and my daily podcast at 10 p.m. Anyway, that's my time, folks. Thank you a lot. Appreciate you.